Good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Crane Report. I have Chris Gleason to my left and Dwayne Weiss to my right.
Hi there.
Two outstanding young people that I'm bringing along here in the business. And speaking of that, let's get right down to business. How about this? The Republicans can't lead. And Obama proved that he was even worse. Has our form of government become obsolete or untenable? Have we reached the point where we cannot govern?
It's not obsolete, but it's becoming untenable simply because there's so much sour grapes after this election that the other side, the Democrats, will not cooperate. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, if the Republicans announced that tomorrow they discovered that as cure for cancer, the Democrats try to kill it.
Yeah.
You know, no, we're not cooperating with you.
Nope, not on your watch. No, save that until we get elected. You know.
It's
Well, you know, it was like the Democrats with Ted Kennedy's leadership refused to allow the Republicans to participate in any modifications to Social Security.
Yep.
That's ours.
Oh yeah.
Good Lord.
It's worse now. It's much worse.
It is. They hate now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Before it was petty politics. Now it is visceral hatred.
You're right. That's exactly what it is.
And I don't know where the hell we go from here. I really don't.
I don't either.
Civil War?
You know what the French always used to say?
No.
100 years, and then off with their heads. And you know, that might not be the worst idea I've ever heard of. Oh, boy. I just got a bunch of things here. I'm going to run some stuff by you.
Okay.
Tammy Bruce.
I don't know.
She's a commentator on Fox News.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't watch Fox.
And she's marvelous.
Okay.
She's a 60-ish columnist and radio talk show host. Okay. And I'm going to tell you unequivocally, if the election were tomorrow, I would vote for her for president.
Dwayne, do you watch Fox?
Yep.
And you know what he? You agree with that?
No, she's sharp. She's really, really sharp. She's got a real good head on her shoulder, and that she looks at a problem, and she sort of takes the politics out of it. She'll give you an honest opinion. I think one of the best in the market, though, on doing that. And I enjoy watching her.
Yeah. She shocked the hell out of me one day when the host kind of tossed a bouquet her way. And she said, you know, talking about women being unable to break into this man's world. She said, look at me. She said, I'm a middle-aged, gay, white woman. And I've worked hard. And look at, I'm making more money than I ever thought I'd make. And I have all kinds of gigs and all of that. But she just blurted out, you know, I'm a gay woman, you know? And maybe we're going to get to the point in this country where it doesn't matter anymore. And we'll just let it slide. I'm a woman. But the point was that, you know, and she's just an ordinary looking lady, not like a lot of the talking heads on Fox.
No, they're like Barbie dolls.
You know, beauty queens, you know. But I thought, anyway.
But that's interesting that do people, when they introduce themselves, have to say, hi, I'm Chris, I'm heterosexual? Do you have to mention what your sexuality is once
No,
during
but
an introduction?
I think what the point she was making was there weren't rose petals strewn along the path of success for her. She has a few things she had to overcome a
Okay,
little
she
bit.
had obstacles.
Yeah. And she's a very ordinary looking woman. But that's what I want to hear. You know, the Europeans got the right idea. Have good diction, good pronunciation, and just sit there and read the news. That's it.
Don't make it.
Yeah.
Don't make the news.
Never mind trying to be a star newscaster, Katie Couric.
And all the chit chat between the news commentators.
Oh, I love that. The happy talk. Oh.
But it's not really news, and I'm wondering if they're just using that to fill up time.
Well, yes, but it's entertainment too, you see.
Well, that's
Yeah. And that's what this has all become. It's been entertainment, not news. Yeah, BBC's got the right idea. They're the one holdout that's left. Do you realize that Russia, this huge mega power on the world scene, has an economy that is less than half the size of France?
Yeah. I never thought of it, but that I
Yeah.
could accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an awful lot of people in Russia living as peasants.
As peasants.
Yeah.
In really primitive situations.
And there's plenty of dirt roads
Yeah,
left
exactly.
in Russia. You know, I was surprised how many dirt roads there are in North Florida.
Yeah.
Up
You
in
watch
the
that live
Panhandle.
PD? You see
Well-
some of them roads these guys get down at night?
Well, actually, I drove around
Did
them
ya?
looking for chemical plants or whatever the hell I was looking for, you know. But boy, they have got plenty of dirt roads down there.
Even we didn't have many dirt roads left. We had some.
Yeah.
Some struck roads left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the farm roads.
Yep.
Yeah.
so you're saying the economy doesn't make you a world power. Is something else that makes you a world power?
Military might.
Yep.
And their economy is geared towards that.
Yeah, their percentage of their GNP that goes to the military is much higher than ours. Not as high as North Korea, obviously, but
We'll get to them. Only in America. I was down at McCoy Stadium the other night, and they had a Hyundai Sonata. A very nice little
Nice little
car,
car, yeah.
very highly ranked.
it is.
And they had it right where you walk in.
Okay.
2007, and the base model goes for about 23,000.
2007 or 17?
17.
17, I'm
Okay.
sorry. And the base model goes for 23,000. And this had some gewgaws on it. It was 26.
Okay.
Then there was a sticker on it that said, additional market adjustment, adding $3,000, bringing the
funny.
price to $29,700. That dealer is the only dealer I've seen do that in the past 15 years.
Yeah, Hyundai has been that Kia in this past series where the powers goes on the initial quality. They knocked Lexus out of the first place.
Well, I'll tell you, they've done a marvelous job. They have
And
really.
their claim to fame is, like you said, a lot of gewgaws on them, is that first they started out as a low price. They were way down. Then they brought their price up to be competitive, Toyota and Honda and stuff. But what they do, they get $6,000-7,000 worth of equipment that comes standard equipment on them.
Yeah. They do a good job. And they are a nice car.
They are. They get real good
The
ratings.
couple I've driven
Yeah.
have been
I've rented a couple
quite,
too. Yeah,
quite impressive. Yeah. And here's an interesting news note. I don't know why, but my wife read in the local newspaper that we get the free one, the Norfolk
Oh,
Wrentham.
Yeah.
Dogs are not allowed in the Wrentham Cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Imagine if you want to go over there with your dog to take a look at Uncle Ralph and plant a flower or something. You're going to leave your dog home.
Yeah, well, that's because they've been using them for dog walking. And everybody's, walking through the cemetery and it's making a mess out of the cemetery.
You know, that used to be true. But you know, the people that walk their dogs in my neighborhood, all of them have got a plastic bag with them. People are getting very responsible like that. I'd let the dogs go in the cemetery. Well, I don't think any of the inhabitants of the cemetery would complain.
They don't care.
I was in Boston one day going through the Rose Garden on the freeway.
Oh, yeah.
And people walking their dogs without plastic bags in the Rose Garden.
The Rose Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Yeah. Oh, what a boondoggle that is. We're paying for that.
Of course.
Yeah. In a recent poll, only 6% of those polled had faith in Congress. 11% had faith in the media, and 14% had faith in President Trump. Those numbers can't go much lower.
No, they can't. But,
But
depends.
you also have to realize that that's part of what the news tells us. The news people are promoting that.
Of course.
The news people aren't saying the Congress is good. A lot of our opinions, because that's the only place we get the news, is from the media. So if the media says that, we believe it, and then we say it back to the media.
Yeah, plus, I don't trust polls. You can depends on where you poll, what you use for a base. You can get that poll to come out any way you want.
Yep.
That's right, and the type of questions you ask.
Yeah.
Just exactly like Dr. Joseph Goebbels,
Yep.
the minister of propaganda in Nazi Germany, who said, "I can make anybody believe anything if I tell them often enough and in the right way."
Yep.
And this is what the media is doing to us. Yeah. Well, Hillary Clinton says she lost the election because she's a woman.
That's ridiculous.
She ran as a woman. She spouted it widely and loudly. And now it seems that perhaps the smartest woman in the world was wrong. That she misjudged and misread the electorate. It's not gender identity that we're interested in. It's competency and honesty. She seems to have missed that.
Yeah. She wants to see why she lost the election. Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I don't
You'll
think
see.
Obama ran on the race. He didn't. He may have gotten a lot of votes because of his skin
Got a
color,
lot because
but
of
he
that.
didn't run the race. He didn't say vote for
No,
me because
he did
I'm
not.
black.
Oh, I thought you were going to go someplace else with that. I don't think he raised a sweat working for Hillary either.
No.
No.
He stayed on the sidelines. How about this cry on the business programs about asking the government to break up Amazon? They're getting too big and too invasive. Or is it because Amazon is too good, too smart, too efficient, and they must be punished for being smarter and working harder?
It's the latter.
It's the latter.
Absolutely.
Would you care to vote on this?
Well, I agree with that, and I think that Amazon is being picked out. I think that they are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but the thing is, it's our government regulations that allowed that to happen. So the fault is not Amazon taking advantage of what the situation is, it's the fault of the government regulating businesses.
Yeah, but I certainly don't want something like going over in the Eurozone where they go in and they check on every single business and say, well, now you're up to 17% of the market. We want you at 15%.
I see Amazon making a better mousetrap. That's why.
Oh,
they're-
I think they are. I think they're doing terrific. At the beginning, they were saying don't invest in Amazon because it doesn't have any earnings. But they went through that portion and they got through that. But I think to go after Amazon, I think it's very unfair because any other business, like you say, could have done the same thing if they did a good job.
We see it more here, but they always, for Amazon, they were going after Walmart,
Yeah.
constantly after Walmart.
Squeezed out all the little stores.
Oh yeah, they said, oh, they're the death, going to be the death of the country. Well, they did a better job. That's all. They're not filing bankruptcy like Sears is, and J.C. Penney, and
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Foreigners buying real estate in the U.S.
big problem.
The number one group,
Chinese.
the Chinese. You're looking at my stuff.
No, I'm not.
And they also, in this data, they picked out when they really concentrate on one area, and it's the Chinese buying in California.
Yep.
Number two, I was surprised, the Canadians,
Yep.
and they're buying in Florida.
Yep. Well, that's been going on for a while now.
Yeah. Number three, the UK,
That I didn't know.
and that's no specific place. Number four, Mexico. Now, where do you suppose they're buying?
Well, border-wise.
Texas.
Texas, they're going to buy
Yep.
Texas up. Texas is going to be all Mexican.
And number five, India,
Yep.
and that's every place.
There's a lot of money in these countries that you don't normally think of.
Well,
but there's
this-
a lot
yeah.
of money they want to put in. China's got so much money, and they're so speculative on real estate right now. They've just put some new laws in. People buying second and third houses for speculation. They're just causing real estate prices to go up and up. Now, if you buy a second house in China, you got to have 55% down. You used to get it 5 and 10% down. Now the government requires 55%.
Yeah, we had the same sort of thing going on with the Japanese out on the West Coast,
exactly.
all the way up to Vancouver. They were buying large amounts of real estate.
I have a friend that does real estate in Cambridge, and the Chinese, they pay 100% cash. So
yeah.
50% is not going to hinder
No, this is
them.
in China. This is not here. This is
Two of my sons are bill collectors, and they absolutely love it when they get a Chinese person or an Indian person. He said, because they just pay the bills.
Oh,
Bango.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the American bonds, no, they want to fight with you. But he says an Indian family or a Chinese family, now they'll question what it's all about. He says, and I may have to email them some information. But boy, yeah, they pay.
Yep.
so what does that say about us?
That we're a bunch of grifters, and if we can possibly avoid paying a bill, I've heard, I don't know how many people say, oh, that insurance stuff's a big damn scam. And, you know, you can do anything you want to an insurance company, and that's all right, ethically speaking. It just that we're always looking to.
So why aren't Americans able to buy the real estate in their own country? Why are they lacking the funds and these other countries have the funds?
Well,
Well, I don't think we're
I don't
actually
think we're
lacking funds here.
Home ownership is down,
For a
but
couple of
that is
reasons.
because actually it's cheaper sometimes to rent, especially for the millennials.
Yeah, and they got a different attitude about it than
Yeah.
Oh,
what,
yes.
what we had and our parents had, and even our grown children have. But the new ones coming up, the 19, 20-year-olds, they don't see home ownership as an objective. They see it as, well, if I just as soon have an apartment.
And you know why? Because they don't see having a family as an objective. By the way, do you ever watch any of those real estate shows on TV? The mini homes, 300 square
Oh,
feet
them,
and all that?
tiny houses things.
Oh, God.
Stupid as hell. I know. Hey, why'd you just go out and buy a little RV, you know?
Yeah,
At least you can
tent.
drive it around.
Yeah.
So we have the seniors moving into smaller and smaller real estate, and we have the young kids moving into smaller and smaller real estate. So there's this big gap in the middle.
The successful entrepreneurs are still demanding upscale property.
Right.
And in a city like Boston that really doesn't have any land left to develop, a lot of it is converting existing homes over to condos or tearing them down and putting up condos. Because I watch all the real estate prices in Boston and
Oh, yeah.
What'd you see?
Right.
Well, today's paper, I don't know, it's a Globe, that we have crossed in the median price of the state, we crossed the $400,000 line
Yep.
this month, last month,
Wow.
$415,000. In the Boston market, it's $615,000 at this point as a median.
Mamma mia. Well, I mean, this
But
takes
it's also interesting that those people who are the entrepreneurs and have these gorgeous houses are never in them.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it also really makes the Boston laws about if you're a cop or a fireman, you have to live in Boston.
Boston,
Makes it almost impossible for them to buy a house.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They were saying that about Norfolk in some of the meetings, that some of the town employees, they're loosening that law or that requirement now.
Well, I mean, my kids, Patrick bought up in Bellingham.
Here's the problem, we're kind
half
of,
the
we're
price.
locked in now, you know? We watch our real estate price, our house prices going up and up, but we can't go anyplace. What are we going to do? I got more house. I got at least 2 bedrooms that I could just cut them off of the 4. One of them we keep for company once in a while. One of them I turned into an office. One of them is just has turned into a glorified stock room.
All you can do is swap it for a condo, which is much less space. It's the same price.
Same price or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
We
then
can't
you
move.
listen to somebody in the next apartment fighting with their boyfriend and
And the condo association
Yeah.
rules you. You
Yeah.
have to have a certain color curtain. You can't put this up
This,
in
you
your
can't do that,
backyard.
you get to pony up $400 a
That-
month
that-
for
that's
a condo fee.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
And that will go up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's not stationary.
No.
No.
The Russians, by the way, on this little real estate poll, account for less than 1% of real estate purchases in the U.S. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio is quite a guy. They had that patrol officer executed. She was sitting in the patrol
Yeah,
car,
yeah.
and guy come up and just blew her away.
Yep.
Okay.
But de Blasio, rather than go to the funeral and back the police, he went to the G2 conference over in Europe, not as a participant, but as a protester against capitalism.
Yeah, he's a piece of work.
What a guy, huh? Boy, oh boy, he was our mayor here. Oh, I'm going to get to our mayor here shortly.
Harm here.
Well, Marty,
Oh, good old Marty.
believe it or not, I'm going to defend Marty.
Okay,
it's
go
coming
ahead.
up. This morning comes news that a published report says that North Korea will have an ICBM capable of delivering a nuclear warhead to the continental United States. And I would like to look right into the camera and say, thank you, President Obama, and thank you, Secretary of State Clinton, and thank you, Secretary of State Kerry, for the wonderful job you did dealing with North Korea. 3 waste of space people.
3 Neville Chamberlain clones.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So what are we going to do about this, Chris? Come on now, you're our idea man here,
No.
lady. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's a sound answer. That's the answer those three clowns had.
Yep.
Well, I guess I'll have to turn to my old warrior over here. What are we going to do? Dwayne?
With North Korea, there's only one conduit to go there, and that's China. That's the only people they respect. That's the only people that has any control over them. Now, China is reluctant to do anything because they don't want to see Korea unified.
Right.
Now they would have a Western-leaning country right on their doorstep, number one. Number two is they're afraid that they're going to get the same thing that's happening in Europe where the Syrians and the North Africans and stuff are coming in, hundreds of thousands of refugees. They don't want the thing to happen to where they're starting to go across the border and fleeing into China. That's number two that they don't want. But the only thing, we can't do anything with China. There's only one reason that you can hurt the Chinese, and that's in their wallet. You can't physically do them. You can't physically put restrictions on them or anything else.
Sanctions, yeah.
The only thing you can do is start chipping back how much business you're sending there. China's very, very afraid of a middle class. They want a middle class, but they don't want a middle class with power because
Wants change.
wants
right.
change. All of a sudden, that's very dangerous for a government like China. If you get a dissatisfied middle class, all of a sudden, hey, I want a new car, or I want an apartment, or I want a house, I want this, I want this. If you don't give it to me, we'll get a new government in here.
We'll start messing with you.
That's right.
And the same exact situation exists in Iran.
Exactly, it's the
They
same
have
thing.
got a very well-educated population. In fact, that was the most advanced under the vilified Shah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most advanced educationally and the most Western country in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people are still there.
Yep.
They haven't gone anyplace. And they're scared to death of what the middle class, as they become more affluent and get more power, are apt to do.
I do a lot about Iran for years and years ago when the Shah was there, because we became very good friends with the son of the Minister of Education under the Shah. I met him in school, and we were older students going back to college, and we'd sit around, we'd talk about Iran, and it was a very interesting country. He was a really sharp guy, and his whole family. He was telling about his father was a associate of the Shah. And the Shah he had his faults, but he had a lot of pluses too, like anything there. But it was a well-run, very democratic type country, very advanced for the Middle East at that point.
And they had become very much westernized.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, they abandoned all the burqas and all that
Oh, yeah.
stuff, 40 years ago. And guess who, and I know you know, but I'm going to guess on you.
No.
Guess who screwed all that up and caused the Iranian Revolution? I'll tell you his initials. Jimmy Carter.
Yep.
Jimmy Carter came to office. Now remember this was the Simon Pure Jimmy Carter. No ethics and problems in my administration. What? We're paying bribes to the Shah and his people
shock.
over there? Boom. We're stopping that right now. We're not doing that for anybody.
Little did he know that certain parts of the world, that's the norm.
That's right. That's how you get business done. Well, very shortly thereafter, the Shah was overthrown. And like on the movie Ghostbusters, when they released the trap where they were holding all the ghosts, they all exploded upward. And that's it in a nutshell.
Jimmy was totally non-confrontational.
Oh, he was a total
He just
idiot.
wouldn't-
God, he should have been out there digging peanuts, for heaven's sake.
Yep.
Oh. But I knew a guy in the I met a guy that worked for Georgia Power, I think. They used to be a huge company, a huge customer of ours. And he told me that he was a classmate of Jimmy Carter's.
Okay.
No inside stories, no dirt or anything. But he told me that Jimmy Carter could explain to you nuclear fission
Yeah, he was. He was a
so that you could understand
nuclear
it.
engineer.
But Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Carter was telling the story himself to this guy, was amazed at what happens in a supermarket.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you take the can and you put it over the reader, or back in those days, I think it was the wand.
Yeah. He had no idea about anything in
He
the
had no
supermarket.
idea that supermarkets did that.
I thought that was Bush.
No, that was Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Right
Now,
before
perhaps
that.
Bush did it too, because he probably never went shopping in his life. But Jimmy Carter, this brilliant engineer, was shocked and didn't know how to behave couldn't handle
Hillary Clinton hasn't driven a car in 45 years.
that may be a good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, she has a lot of, well, I'm one of you.
Yeah.
He doesn't have, not one of us.
Break. Oh. Anyway, well, now, we've got quite a dichotomy in the U.S. in wealthy people, the disappearing middle class, and the struggling class. But you know, when I see things like this, I tore this out of Boston Magazine.
Oh my God!
You know what? The Boston Magazine has an interesting marketing deal. I usually find one or two things to talk about every month in Boston Magazine. They dropped the price to $10 a year. Cover is $5.95.
Yeah, most magazines have really dropped the price.
2 years, $20. 3 years, $20. So you get the third year free.
Okay.
So I did it, $20 for 3 years. And I get stuff like this.
I can
Well,
imagine
they're
where you're going
talking
with that.
about the clothing for the wealthy. And here is a bag made of calf skin that's available through Neiman Marcus.
But at least
Okay.
cost $10.
$5,000.
Oh yeah.
That would send a kid through kindergarten in an inner city school system.
Yep.
$5,000.
I can imagine at some point, at some place, there's the person that's the company that's making that. They're sitting in a boardroom. One says, "I think we can get $1,000 for this thing." Guy says, "Hell, we can get 2,000. Yeah, we get 3. Pretty soon 4. They start 5. They'll never get. Oh, they start laughing. So let's try it. Sure enough, they get it.
Yeah.
There's no value price relationship there.
Oh, I know.
It's just it's a status symbol to pay that much.
It's
They're privileged to do that.
marketing ploy.
Yep.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I know some friends of ours, they're big into the designer thing.
Oh, yeah.
That Louis Vuitton stuff. And he said, well, that's an $800 bag. I said, I could have that manufactured for $25. Oh, no, it would be not the quality. I said, just as good a quality as what you got right there. It just wouldn't have somebody's name on it.
Plus, the person would probably only use the pocketbook once or twice.
Yeah.
How about the ones too? They have the Coach bags.
Coach. Oh, that's another one.
150, 250. I mean, give me for what? Put chewing gum in there and change and credit cards and.
Just like the things that, this is somebody else, but she only buys designer frames on her eyeglasses. $400 and $500 for the frames on the glasses. Consumer Reports says there's only one manufacturer of frames in this country anymore anyway. And they put everybody's name on, all the designer and everybody else you want, or Sears or whatever it was. You're buying the same thing.
This is from BJ's.
Yep.
$111. Lenses and frames.
Yep. That's where I get when I was wearing glasses.
My wife got glasses from the optometrist last week, or 2 weeks ago. Seems to me with the examination was $800.
Yeah.
Glasses are glasses. I mean, I don't know. U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, lovely. One of my favorites. Her,
Yep.
her and Nancy Pelosi and
Yep.
Waters. and-
Nancy did a picture of her on Fox News the other day. She looked like a scarecrow.
Oh, my God.
They must get the worst pictures they can and show them. But anyway, Elizabeth Warren attacks the notion and the persona of Kid Rock, who is running for the U.S. Senate in Michigan.
Yep, he is. That's great.
versus incumbent Senator Debbie Stabenow. I guess there's not enough business in Washington or Massachusetts to occupy the dear lady's time, so now she's decided to interfere in Michigan. I understand she offered Senator Debbie the following advice. Tell them you're part Chippewa Indian. It worked for me. And when asked about the election of Saturday Night Live alleged comedian, the acid-tongued Al Franken from Minnesota, she quickly said, and I paraphrase, "Oh, but he's worked very hard educating himself, and now he's a great senator." So why couldn't Kid Rock follow the same blueprint and also become a great senator? I wonder. Old Rain in the Face wasn't asked that question, though.
No. Elizabeth Warren, we think that, or the state of Massachusetts looks at her as she's just a breath of fresh air and this brilliant individual, and she's got grooming her to be president. You get out of this state, they think she's a joke. They despise her.
You know,
She's a bad joke.
I had the opportunity at work to travel the country. And I got 49 states. Excuse me. Of the 48 contiguous, I got 47 states.
Yep.
This was back, I didn't get South Dakota. Oil hadn't been discovered there yet.
There wasn't anything
There wasn't
there.
any business there, you know. But I gotta tell you something, what Dwayne is touching on is a real phenomenon.
Yeah, I found that
And
too.
people in Massachusetts don't realize how much we are hated in all the other states.
Or else thought of as just Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Stupid.
The Southerners always make fun of Massachusetts. It's Massachusetts. That's how they pronounce it. And they used to rip me about Ted Kennedy when I first met them, you know? And I said, I never voted for the man, sorry. And I'd have to call on somebody 3 or 4 times before they would say to me, hey, you know what, Bill, you're not a bad guy after all. Just got to be careful about people from your neck of the woods. Same thing in Texas,
Yeah,
down south.
Texas was big on that.
Yeah, I mean, we are not looked upon as
no.
the beacon of light to educate. Well, I'll say you gave us Dukakis,
Yep.
and you gave us Kerry, and you gave us blah, 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 blah,
Barney
blah.
Frank,
Barney Frank, Ted Kennedy, oh,
Tip O'Neill.
Tip O'Neill. Yeah, and I used to have to listen to that, but I kept after them. Talk about their dogs and about their kids, the boys playing football and the girls report cards and.
Well, let me interject something here.
Go ahead.
You and I made a prediction on the election.
Yep.
We put our turbans on. We
Yep.
looked in the crystal ball, and we called it. We called it real close too. Well, you weren't we're doing away with it. We called it down to a percentage point of what was going to happen. Now, I'd like the guys to make a prediction. How long do you think Jeff Sessions is going to last? And if he's not going to last, who's going to succeed him?
I have no idea.
Go ahead, Bill.
I don't think he's going to last a hell of a lot longer.
I don't either.
And yet, he's got an awful lot of friends in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, which is where he came from. He's known as an honest, straight shooter.
Yep.
I think that Trump is making the biggest mistake.
Well, I might too, but I'm going out on a limb here.
Okay.
We do about every 2 weeks a show. I'm going to say he's going to be here for the next show, but probably not for the one after that. I said within 4 weeks he's going to be.
That wouldn't surprise me at
And
all.
who do you think? Who would you predict he's going to succeed him?
Well, the scuttlebutt in the newspaper is Rudy Giuliani.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
All right. I'm going Ted Cruz. That's his name's being flaunted or passed around right now. Watch who he's showing up all every place.
You know, Ted Cruz, if he took it, that would be a brilliant move because he comes from the crazy wing
Yep.
of the Republican Party. All right? The ones that would rather lose than violate their standards, their philosophy. And by the way, if that happens, I'll make another prediction.
Okay.
After the turmoil, when there's an opening on the Supreme Court, Ted Cruz gets it.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh my God.
Now, he's a brilliant legal scholar. I
He
mean,
is.
he's got few of the wheels are, going counterclockwise rather than clockwise up there.
Yeah.
And he gets himself into the damnedest positions, but there's no one questioning his intellect.
In fact, he gave, and I'm sorry, I do not remember what happened. There was a terrorist attack someplace. Something happened. And he came on TV and just off the cuff gave one of the best speeches that I think I've ever heard a politician give. It was smoother than Obama used to give.
Yeah.
Wow. I was impressed with what he can do.
Boy, I'll tell you what, he's no dummy.
But let's just see what our predictions here.
Yeah.
How we.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I want to get to this story here because I think we may spend a little time on this
Okay.
one. Tito Jackson and some activists in Boston are ripping Mayor Marty Walsh.
Of course, he's going to run against him.
Marty said an attack on the mayor is counterproductive. But anyway, they're calling.
You certainly wouldn't say that's productive.
No. They're calling for more resources to fight violent crime in what Tito Jackson is calling a crisis in the neighborhoods. There's a 30% increase in shootings. That's a state of emergency. It's time for us to declare that state of emergency and act with the urgency that's needed to ensure our babies will no longer die. I don't know why. Now, Mayor Walsh said, I don't know why anybody would criticize anything. This isn't the time for criticism. This is the time to work together. Criticism is counterproductive. But they kept right on going criticizing him. And Reverend Wall said, I don't think the mayor is doing enough. He's not listening to the right people. The playbook says bring the clergy together. The playbook says have a photo op afterwards because the visual looks good. But that is not the solution to solving systemic problems. It's cosmetic, and that's what makes us mad. Walsh said he is willing to take suggestions from anyone. We welcome them all. It's a big tent, Walsh says. My phone is on and my doors are open.
You know what I hear there? Quack, 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 quack.
Yep.
That's all it is. All three of them. One of them complaining about a photo op. Well, all three of them have never seen a camera they didn't like.
No.
I mean, if there's a camera, they got their mouth open.
Yeah. Now, Tito continues to play, this is me now,
Yep.
play the racist
Oh,
card.
absolutely.
Is this a valid complaint? The crime is always, almost always, black on black. The black leaders, black clergy and black elected officials appear powerless.
They don't. Oh, they appear, yes, but
Yeah.
don't forget, Tito Jackson and that Reverend Rivers
Yeah. And
are
Wall.
two of them, and Wall
Yeah.
are three of them. That whole group, when they were complaining about black on black crime, and it wasn't safe in the neighborhoods, and there were shootings, and kids were getting killed. So what they do? They clamped down. They started really tough enforcement. So what happened? Right away, that same group said, "You're harassing our young black males.
Yep.
You're stopping them. You're arresting them. You're searching them. You can't do that." Right back to where it was.
Let me just rattle through
These
this.
these guys think if you throw money in, it's going to go away.
Black family guidance, supervision,
Yep.
influence over the black youth has totally failed. Rare indeed is a black household where both parents
Yep.
share the rearing of the family. What's Marty Walsh supposed to do about this? The drug trade is pervasive in the black community. Gangs are running rampant in those communities. What's Mayor Walsh supposed to do about these problems? Dealing with a community that hates or distrusts the police. When measures such as stop and frisk and anti-gang measures are tried, the community screams with
Exactly.
outrage. What are you doing to our young people? Instead of supporting police efforts, they want them stopped. They want an all-black police force. They understand the community and would act fairly, and to hell with the rest of the citizens of Boston. Are failing in that approach, they want more blacks on Boston police. Well, if the young black males applying can't pass the entrance exam, or do not possess a degree in criminology, or have a police arrest record that disqualifies them, what's Mayor Walsh supposed to do about this?
Can't do a thing
It's
about
an
it.
impossible task before Walsh. Now, truth in broadcasting. I don't think the mayor is the brightest lad in the world, and he appears to be witless and clueless at times. But I think he's a fairly decent guy. And bottom line, Tito Jackson blasting Mayor Walsh for the uptick in violence in his community is extremely disingenuous and is mostly hot air and posturing. If Tito has the silver bullets, the answers to the problems of the inner city, then let him share them. Let him be a messenger of change and not just another politician venting hot air. That doesn't do anyone any good. But alas, I'm afraid Tito's holster is empty. No silver bullets, just blanks.
Nope. And then the
So
problem.
what the devil do we do with this problem?
Well, we got to stop thinking of black and white
Oh, I know that.
and yellow and red and everything
Yes,
else.
indeed.
Because if there's an elephant in the room, you got to say there's an elephant in the room, regardless what color the elephant is. He's still in the room. He's not going to go away. And these guys are so afraid of the R word, racist. Oh my God, it's racist. Everything is racist. And they just tremble.
PC.
Yeah, oh yeah, just tremble at that word. But we got to stop that. We've got to stop just dealing. He's a bad individual. I don't care if he's black, blue, or green. He's a bad individual, or they are bad. This group's bad. That street's bad. That house is bad. It is, it is. It is what it is. If you can't deal with that, you're never going to solve the problem.
When they stop and frisk kids in Charlestown,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, nobody thinks anything
No.
of it.
But when you stop and frisk kids in Roxbury,
Different story.
it's, it is a totally different story. Somehow or other, I don't know. How many generations is it going to take before the inner city people are going to begin to trust the police department again? Now, with that said and done, I'm going to be the first guy to say there's been abuses by the police department.
Oh, no
I'm
question.
going to be the first one to say it.
I
But-
don't think the police solve the problem.
No.
I think that jobs, so the kids know that they can earn money besides drug trafficking, and some of the things like they're doing in Detroit now, they're having gardens and things like that where they can promote community pride and the people getting to know each other. So once all these people are hiding out in their little homes, so if you can get them out and talk to each other and have a community project together, and then they begin to take pride in these things, and they don't just dump things, dump trash all over the place. Those are very minor, but that's all I can come up with.
You gotta.
And
This thing with jobs, though, you can't say, well, they don't have jobs. There's a million jobs out there. Every place is looking to hire, but they can't get them to work.
here's the problem. And this young man right here has just put his thumb on it. When I was over the Foxborough Company, we had an experiment, and we hired, 15, 18, 20 inner city
Yep.
folks to come out and work as part of the janitorial crew. Send a bus in. Pick them up, bring them out.
Yeah,
Okay.
My company had the same problem. I think we were
fed
going.
them while they were out here at the cafeteria, drop them back off at the end of the shift. Well, by the fourth week, they were down to like 3 people.
Yep.
yeah.
I worked for a tool company. They built a new screwdriver plant someplace in South Carolina. It was one of the poorest counties in the country, and the government supplemented this building to hire it was all black. So they lined up to get these. They were like paying $18, $20 already then. It was union scale, when the whole company was union. Well, they found out. Well, we got paid on Wednesday. Thursday, nobody showed up for work. They'd kind of dribble back in Tuesday or Wednesday when they didn't have any money anymore. Well, that went on for a while. Then pretty soon the workforce got less and less and less. And pretty soon they were having to get people from the Connecticut plants, transfer them down there to keep the plant going. They didn't care. There was a very poor. They had no jobs. There's nothing else. When this company came in, I don't want to do this.
But it has to be in their own community. You can't ship them out to someplace else. It's like
They
trying to
weren't
ship
shipped
them
out.
to
They took
Mars
the
and back
job.
again.
They took the job to them. They didn't want it. They wouldn't work it. So this company had to take their Connecticut employees and give them an incentive to go down to work in South Carolina.
I know.
Yeah.
I have an uncle that had that. What happened? And they didn't stay. They came back up here because the work. They were the only person that was working. The other people were goofing off, and they were stuck doing all the work.
I have to be careful with this story because it's local. But there's a fairly large company around here, and they were under pressure to get more minority workers. So they put this guy in charge of assembling devices, rudimentary devices. They were battery-operated things.
Okay.
So they rented a small building, and they got 24 folks from the inner city, brought them out, trained them, and the dropout rate among seasoned assemblers was a couple of percent. They had dropout rates, 60% of them wired wrong. So you go back in, you start working with them some more, you retrain them, and then by then they say, I don't want to do this anymore, I quit. Well, do you know what? It was maybe 4 months or 5 months, and they just shut the whole operation down and fired the guy that was running it as if it was his fault, but they had to do something to somebody. But
The workers didn't have skin in it. It wasn't theirs. They didn't own it. I think that's the problem.
do you know, I think
Other than small businesses, very few people know
have
own it.
something, but one of the city councilors, Elena Presley, said just the other day, and I got it in here, she wants the inner city people to become pot emporium owners. Well, they don't have any money to start it up. Well, that's okay. Then let's give them the money to start it up. That's not going to work.
Well, didn't they have something like that for India?
Yeah,
where
they
they
did.
gave the women $100 and they started their own businesses and things like that. Why couldn't you do that here?
I'll tell you why.
They drink
With
the
India,
$100.
with India, you don't have the welfare structure. They don't have something to fall back on.
Okay,
In India, they either got the job or they starve. Here, nobody starves.
right.
There's food stamps, there's welfare programs,
They
everything else.
claim they're starving, though.
Yeah, they're not.
Well, friends, this lively session is coming to an end. We've shot through our hour here, and
Can't say we're not controversial.
no, and we probably got 5% of the stuff
Yeah, as
I wanted
usual.
to talk about. So we're going to have to come back here real soon.
Do it to you again.
Dive into this pile again on.
And find out if our crystal.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
the
this
crystal
is
ball says.
I didn't even.
You better get in here on this prediction.
Oh man, I'll tell you. Well, folks, it was a pleasure being with you. I hope you enjoyed our little show, and we'll look forward to being with you again next time.
Bye all.
Good night.